Excellent. Welcome to the TADSummit podcast. We have Eddie DeCurtis. I'm just going to hand over to Johnny, who will do a stellar intro. Over to you, Johnny.
Well, this is the big show. Feel good week. Shush. Eddie's talking. Now, Eddie, you owe me $41 for this shirt that I got made up. Because
You
this
got
is
it.
you love it, Eddie? You like it?
I
You
love
like
it.
the
I
shirt? You
love it.
like it?
Thank you. Thank you.
So, first of all, I want everybody out there who has a problem with me and the stuff that we do over here. It's all Eddie's fault. I wouldn't be in this business if it wasn't for Eddie. A long time ago, I lent somebody some money and they said they owned some company called Irish Wireless. I was cleaning up a calling card bankruptcy, and then I met Eddie, and the place was just in disarray at the time. I remember T-Mobile stole Cineverse stole Metro PCS from you guys,
Hmm.
and you had injunctions going on in Texas, and they were going to
Hmm.
shut off all the messaging from Metro. And I came in; it was a disaster. And I'm like, what is it? I couldn't spell text messaging because I come from a different world. And because of Eddie, he convinced me that these assets were real, and we proceeded to clean up the company, move the binds 4 times, file an
Hmm.
antitrust suit. It's amazing what you think about what we got to, and then beat Cineverse. We screwed them
But
out of their
the
first
funny,
IPO. Go ahead.
yeah, no, the funny thing was, Johnny, remember at the time I left messaging. I left. I was doing other things in telecom, and I was brought back in with your old friends to help them clean up Iris. Like I was gone. I didn't want to.
Yeah,
I didn't want to come back into and then I come back into messaging. They implode it, and then I get hooked up with you, and then
yeah.
the rest is just history.
Well,
Like
I
I
mean,
was
look,
gone.
it
I was
was.
like doing other things. I was like, I was
Well,
like, I was
whatever
like, I
you were,
wanted out.
whatever the disaster before I got there, I came in and cleaned it up. I didn't
Yeah.
know what I couldn't know what the industry was. I was looking for some top up for the Philippines that you had because I was doing prepaid
Hmm.
distribution with prepaid wireless at the time, looking to
Yeah.
cobble that up.
Yeah.
But remember, we fought the guy from Magic Jack, Danny Borslow, that crazy bastard.
Yeah.
It was crazy, and he wanted to acquire the assets. So we went through a long ride, and then Rick Joyce came in, and we filed the antitrust say case, and then there'd be no Tintech if it wasn't for Eddie, because I was like, Eddie, I don't want to run this company, and basically he went and found them, and they were both fired from their company, as Alan reported, and Eddie convinced me to do a deal with them. We restructured them, and and so it's amazing how many. And the most important thing is how many people that you tried to help when there was a disaster, employees, different people having jobs. So that's why, you're all about doing the right thing. And that's why you have so many friends and so many people love you. And now watching this presentation that I saw that you did at MEF blew me away. But I always knew the skill set and talent that you had. But we're gonna put that up because I don't think you could duplicate just the intense, amazing presentation that you put together with Q&A on what you've developed here. And like we did this week with Augnet, sometimes good guys win. And you're a 30-year-old veteran, and I don't want to get into any controversial stuff. I really want to talk about, you know, how you did this, how you got here, what the differences is. And I want to say one thing, because I'm going to call you out on a couple things.
Hmm.
I heard, because we have 20,000 subscribers, not 50
Hmm.
people in meetings that can only go there because they can afford to fly there. I heard the largest network API authentication consumer, Twilio, signed a deal with you. Is it true?
Yes. Yes.
So
We have a global partnership with Twilio. That's right.
you like the way I found that out, don't you?
Mhm. No.
You're providing their
Yeah, no,
stellar
no.
network
It's not
authentication.
it's not like it's completely hidden. It's been discussed with with potential partners. The reason behind that is what we have created is pretty amazing. I My chief product officer. or I should say our chief product officer is John Morrow, who, built this at the hands down the best network authentication service ever, with T-Mobile USA. I mean, Lotus Flare is his platform that he created for T-Mobile USA. Ran it for the last number of years before he came over to Sush. So I think he's forgotten more about network authentication than most people know. It's just he's an amazing individual. And then we brought in Wisam Korish from Telesign, who's our chief technology officer, who literally said, okay, whatever I build has to be super simple for these aggregators or demand partners to connect and use and make it simple. And then my experience with the mobile network operators, we created a service offering that we try to remove all the roadblocks, right? How, is it easy to connect to the network? Is it an amazing platform, easy to use, and different service offerings at no cost to the mobile network operator because there's no more money. They're out of money, right? So, and it came about in my previous company that I was at. You're sitting there, you're talking to the mobile network operators around the world, and you got to remember there's over 1,000, right? And only 33 have launched. Okay, and they only launched one or two, maybe three APIs at most.
Yeah.
T-Mobile had 28 when they launched. Okay, but it's not that. But when you're sitting there, you're talking to these other mobile network operators, they're all they're saying the same thing. I want to do network APIs. I don't have a platform to do it. I have no money to pay for a platform. Oh, and I have no idea how to price it, how to build it, how to structure it, security, privacy, legal, all these different things. Help me, help. So what I did was I left my former company, and I sat there and I spent a number of days writing this thesis around the whole thesis and idea around Sush. And I called up one of my mentors that I worked for, a gentleman by the name of John Donovan, who's the former CEO of AT&T, right? And John spent an hour with me on the phone, and it was very kind of him to do that. He spent an hour with me on the phone, and at the end I said, so what do you think? He goes, go raise $40 million and own this space because they're going to come after you. He goes, go do this. So I called my partner up and I said, hey, I got this idea. This is the whole idea. I talked to a number of John wasn't the only one I talked to, but I love that story. And I have all the answers and I think this is what we need to do. You want to come along for the ride? And he said, yeah. So we incorporated the company on February 2nd, 2024, right? We incorporated the company that day. And then we started bringing in like John and hold on, breaking 401s, just trying to come up with the money to do all this. And then we brought in John and we brought in Wisam and we started, we got very lucky early with a number of our customers who believed in the idea and believed in us and signed agreements and really, saw the vision that I was putting out there and agreed with it and jumped on board. And, if I ever have a boardroom, there's going to be a lot of photos of a lot of people, right? Who really believed in us and really kind of, and helped us get along. So on April 1st, so what happened was I go to Mobile World Congress. I have an interview with Evan Casto. He goes, I'll let you know when I'll post this. He didn't let me know he posted it, and I accidentally launched my company at Mobile World Congress in a like a 2-minute video, right? So
I saw that.
I'll never forget.
I saw that on X.
So I'll never forget. I'm sitting in Barcelona at the trade show on my mobile phone. And someone walked up to me and goes, what are you doing? I said, I accidentally launched my company. I'm building a website, right? I kid you not. That's the true story. And I'm like, trying to get it all done. So we accidentally launched a Mobile World Congress 300 and somewhat days ago, right? And then it's just been a whirlwind ever since, right? So
Yeah, but
we said, okay, to get
even getting a capital raise done on
yeah,
your
no, no.
Series
So that
A
I was just
in
gonna
that
get
short
there. I
period
was
of
gonna
time
get there.
is
We didn't do a
crazy.
Series A. We didn't do a Series A. Well, we got our lawyers. We got, we started putting all the pieces together, right? Um, And we said around April, we said, okay, we need to get through. We had a couple of POCs about to kick off. We need to get through these POCs. We need some money. So let's do a seed round. And we came up with a number, right? We came up with a number. And what we said was, well, let's do it in tranches, right? Let's do a pre-seed and then do a seed, right? So we did a pre-seed. We did a pre-seed of the initial ask was $500,000. And in less than 45 days, we doubled it.
Wow.
Literally, in 45 days, we doubled it. So now we have enough money. It was just amazing. People believed in us. They believed in the story. They believed in what we were doing, right? So Sim and his development team delivered not an MVP, not an MVP. This is what's crazy. They delivered a GA product. I mean, that's how good these guys are. I have never worked with smarter people in my entire career. Like when I won, so you all know I won the Meffy. It was funny. I was getting off
And you
stage
don't
and I
have
got
it.
up.
You don't
I
have it
was
because I
getting
want to
off
buy it off you.
stage. I was getting off stage, and I looked at my phone, and Johnny's like, "Congratulations!" I'm like, "How the hell did he find out?" Right?
We,
It literally just happened. So
I got
you know,
people everywhere. What do you mean? We got 20,000 subscribers on our channel.
I was like, how? But when I won it, I said, "This is not for me. This is for my team. My team won. My team did this. Did not me." So we had a GA product. We delivered on it. We did. I'm sorry, my dog. We delivered on it. It's just an amazing thing. So then we like,
Well,
well,
but the
let's
biggest amazing
close.
thing here, Eddie, in 1 year, so all these
Mhm,
network KPIs and all this money being
mhm,
spent and millions of
mhm,
dollars of doing this one, that one,
mhm.
and you just nailed Twilio in a year. I want you to
Well,
understand what that
yeah,
means. So they're the biggest. The only
but
reason this whole
yeah,
network API is happening is because of the phenomenon of Twilio. The whole
yeah, of
industry
course.
is built around Twilio. And then
Hmm.
you just nailed Twilio. I mean,
Hmm.
how are you not
Because I'm
running
not
around your house
competing.
screaming?
Oh no, I did, but
Okay.
but the thing is, but just to finish up. What happened was we decided, all right, let's just close this round, Alan, and then within another 45 days, every single one of our initial investors came in for double, and a bunch of new investors came in to close out the round.
Okay.
We're just again, it's a testament to my team and what they have delivered, right? So we're doing, we're extremely bullish on everything that's been accomplished. I'm extremely I just can't thank my team enough. Every day I thank them. Yes, Johnny, to go back to what you asked me, there is a strategic shift going on in the industry right now, and it's been going on for a number of years. More and more brands are moving off OTP. It's not secure. It was never designed to be for secure. It's just is what it is, right? But it was easy. The problem is now with all these more these sophisticated attacks that are going on.
AIT, yeah.
It's not about the $500 million that was stolen from crypto. It's about the woman who lost her whole life savings,
Correct.
right? From a SIM swap issue,
Yeah.
right? It's not the fact that now, and I just posted on LinkedIn that you can go see, T-Mobile settled for $33 million
Yeah.
because there's a human in there. There was a human, and somebody walked in and got it to, and they robbed money and T-Mobile. So now the carriers are liable,
Yes.
right? So the FCC, the FTC, the Federal Banking Commission, everybody needs to immediately come out and say no more financial transactions over OTP, no logins, no anything over OTP. The carriers must
Well,
implement SIM
let me just take
swaps,
that one step
sign
further.
off. Mhm.
I saw that this morning as well. And what that does, because they won the judgment in
It's
California,
huge.
and it's just like TCPA. So everybody files TCPA lawsuits in a certain district in California because they award money like it's free, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
now what that just did is now, right now, as we speak, there's lawyers running around like
running
crazy,
around
right?
because they
But
settled.
it's also
Because they settled.
because of this whole new crypto being now
Hmm.
acceptable. It's being out there, and they have the biggest lobby. Crypto lobby is
Hmm.
insane. You got big money behind this, and people
Hmm.
losing. Yeah, you only know about what people tell you about what they've lost on
Hmm.
SimSwap. There's crypto thefts in the billions right now.
Yeah, I imagine. I can only imagine.
That
I can only
nobody that is
imagine.
not being reported.
Uh,
So it is a big
so
thing. But
a few
go ahead.
weeks ago, right before Mobile World Congress, I am sitting on Capitol Hill, and I'm with all my representatives, right? Gill, Cornyn, Cruz, right? And these are my represent Texas, right? Which is where we're based. And we're sitting there having a conversation with their legislation committee, because kind of don't meet the senators and stuff. But as I'm sitting there, it comes out that the SEC X account was SIM swapped, and they posted that Bitcoin was going to be unregulated. So Bitcoin goes up $3,000, right? Literally, as I'm saying, we have a SIM swap problem in the United States. This is bad. The FTC put a policy in June of last year saying all carriers in North America or covered under the thing must have a SIM swap policy in place. When the carriers pushed back, the FCC didn't even respond. In other words, you have to deliver on this date. So the carriers put in a policy. But that policy is only as good as the human behind that counter or
Yeah.
the human that's on that phone, right? These guys are very, very good. If they weren't very good, it wouldn't happen, right? But it happens all the time. And what I like to say is, if I walk in with a stack of $100, a big stack, I could become anybody I want, because the guys or the person behind the counter is making $15, $20 an hour, and I'm going to hand them a wad of cash. It may not happen in the first store, it may not happen in the second store, but I will keep going until it does happen. And when
Oh
it
yeah.
does happen, because if I can rob you
Well,
know
you understand some all
uh
those stores,
a half
most
a
of those
tr-
stores, I know because I looked at a roll up of a bunch of
yeah.
companies. They're all privately owned. A lot of the
Mhm.
mobile the phone stores are not corporate. For every one corporate store,
Exactly.
you've got 10 privately owned,
Yeah.
and there is
But the
such a
point,
racket
but
going on.
Johnny, in less than an hour, I can wipe out all your bank accounts once I get access to your SIM. I'm gone. This woman in on Freedom Wireless that lost $190,000. She went to sleep. She didn't even notice that her phone went to no service because she was on Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
right? So she never noticed. And she woke up, she never noticed.
Hmm.
And $190,000 of her life savings was wiped out
Oh yeah.
while she was sleeping.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
That's the
going
people
rate
I'm
is a
worried about.
thousand dollars, so you can swap a SIM for a
Exactly.
$1,000. It's
It's
widely known.
yeah. So my point I'm trying to say is, we got to get the humans out.
Yeah.
Every single carrier, every single major carrier in North America, so AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, all support. They all have the solutions in place. Every major aggregator all has the solutions in place. Now, all the major banks all have SIM swap capability. It needs to be mandated. Listen, I'm an unregulation guy. But this is the first time in my 30 plus years in this business where I'm saying this is one thing that does need to be forced, because it's being forced all over the world.
Yeah.
Singapore, India, Malaysia, all over the world, they're saying get off SMS for financial transactions.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And T-Mobile settling the 33 just opens up everybody else for it, right? Is that lady who was
I'm
on
shocked. I'm
Verizon?
shocked that they settled.
Is
I'm
is the
shocked.
I'm shocked too. Is that lady in New Jersey who is on Bank of America on Verizon? Is she going to sue because it just happened to her?
Yeah.
And here's the thing:
100%.
the carriers in North America are protected, 100% protected. 47 FCC regulation 47.2 22D specifically states that a carrier can share and sell CPNI data, not PII, CPNI, which is even more than PII data, for to third parties in the prevention of fraud and to the prevention of the network. So, in other words, it's not opt-in, it's not opt-out, it just is. So when the AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon got sued got fined $120 million from the FTC, that fine meant nothing because they never try to enforce it. And then just prior to the last administration, prior to them leaving, they tried to enforce it. And I got to give credit to T-Mobile's attorneys and Verizon's attorneys. They basically told the FTC, we're protected. Go pound sand. I mean, I don't know if they said it that way, but they are completely protected. Unlike legitimate interest, Article 47 on GDPR, but the U.S., they are completely protected. And what they should have happened was the company that did sell that location data to the bail bondsman, that's where it should have rolled down. The liability should have rolled down to them, and they should have been hit with the fines, not the carriers. You can only do so much.
It's amazing, but I want to cover a few more things with you because, the Twilio thing is huge because you're the biggest and the biggest brand. So I got to think once that's out there and once people hear this, it's just going to give because there's so many different options. You have what are the difference with all these companies? Like I get confused. I focus on some things. I'm a little bit confused on this whole network API thing. Alan is definitely the expert here, but what is the difference with some of these companies and yours? I mean, so you're basically giving somebody a platform where they don't have to put up front costs like with Ericsson or Nokia, and you have to spend millions of dollars up front, and then you do a rev share?
Yep. There's a complete 100% rev share.
So there's no cost for people to deploy it?
Nope. No cost.
Who decides the pricing?
Absolutely brilliant.
Who decides the pricing?
This is a platform. This is the carrier. It's completely white labeled carrier. This is the carrier. We will consult with them and negotiate it. So we have two service offerings. The carrier can do it all by themselves, and they could pay us for consulting if they want.
Okay.
That's one option. And the other option, we'll do it as a complete managed service. And then there's a kind of hybrid, right? Where we'll do it for a while until they get up to speed, because a lot of people don't know what they're doing. Yeah. But everything, this is always the carrier's platform. This is not Search's platform.
Understood.
This is the carrier platform.
But then who sells the service? Do you rely on the carrier? You rely on the carrier to have to sell the service to enterprises? Or?
They can, and they want to. They want to. Because remember,
they suck at it. Remember when it
Well, no, but hold on. You can't take that away from them. Alan, I'm going to make it real simple. When you build a $30 billion network, you can tell them what to do. But until then, if they want to sell, God bless them. But it's in our best interest, and it's in their best interest if we work together. So that's the kind of relationship we have with Twilio and other very large.
But Twilio is 800-pound gorilla here because they got all the traffic. Correct. So forget everybody else. You have Twilio.
But it doesn't matter. Okay. But it doesn't matter. But the beauty about it is they want to accelerate the market, right? Because they see the move from SMS to something else. Third-party apps, in-app messaging, OTT, right? Like, WhatsApp, Zalo, I mean, all the different OTTs out there, and email, right? But that's not secure, right? That's not secure. So with that relationship, I'm not competing against them, right? I'm the carrier platform. I'm not competing against them. That's the other thing. I don't compete against my partners. So there's some, there may be other people out there that compete with the guys that are trying to not enable, but expose the APIs to. So I'm not competing with the carrier, and I'm not competing with the aggregator. I'm providing an enablement solution monetization platform at no cost to the network operator with full integration into their network, fully white label, helping them on the privacy. Because remember, there's three legs of a stool. Yep. There's the platform. I have that. There's network integration. We have that. We can help them with all the network integration, even do it for them if they want. There were two people at T-Mobile that understood Apogee and how to plug Apogee, because Apogee is the biggest API framework for mobile network operators, how to plug Apogee into the core network. Guess what? I hired one of them. There was only two, and I hired one of them. He now works for me, right? So we have that experience. And then the third part is, and the most important, business operations.
Yes.
Dealing with your privacy group, dealing with your legal team, dealing with pricing, dealing with networking. The whole
sales
business, the whole business operations is the most difficult part of this business. How do you price it? Right? What APIs do you want to expose? Because we support all 6 Camara ones, and then we'll eventually afford the additional 12 that are coming out, right? We'll support that. Plus, we support 39 additional APIs. Everything from silent network authentication, which is different than Camara number verified, which is what is being purchased today, header enrichment, etc. Age verification. GSMA just started talking about age verification. We support that now.
Deployed.
KYC matching, in-call state, call forwarding, roaming, device status, device type. So all these APIs that brands will or will not use are available, and with a flick of a switch, get turned on within the mobile network operator. This is a very, very powerful platform, right? That will allow the carriers to truly launch a service. Because believe it or not, I would have never thought that TikTok's number one API use case is age verification.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
The GSMA just started talking about it. TikTok needs it now.
Oh, yeah. Well, depending on the region. In the UK, it's available. Experian has age verification APIs. But just to help me understand, on the Twilio deal, they've had SNA for quite a while. It came through an acquisition.
They do. No.
Are you
They
replacing
do.
that?
No.
Okay.
That's not the type of deal. We are there about, it's all about building up, fulfilling the supply side, right?
Okay.
Fulfilling the supply side and accelerating the use and the conversion to network authentication. It has nothing to do with replacing anything.
Gotcha.
This is an extremely positive partnership that allows both companies to continue to do what they do right? What they do. So we help the mobile network operators launch a service, and and Twilio and others bring the demand that already exists in the market to those carriers. So it's all about accelerating the positive conversion, a positive move to network authentication.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, so put Twilio to one side, because they've had their struggles with SNA, but like Experian, massive business through all the banks. So is that a potential partnership to extend?
So yes, so they would be a potential. Everybody's a potential partner, because remember, look at me as the operator.
Understood.
Give you an example.
The interface.
So one time, a couple of weeks ago, I get a questionnaire from one of these companies. I won't say who, but one of these companies. They want to vet me.
Yeah.
I turn around and I go, no. I vet you. I'm the carrier. You're not the carrier. You want to connect to my customers, and I'm talking about the mobile subscribers behind the carrier. I vet you for approval. You don't vet me. And that's since no one's kind of doing what I'm doing. I mean, there are some that claim they are, hey, like Jack Welch said, if you don't have a competitor, create a competitor.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm wishing them all best of luck, and I want everybody to be successful. Well, there's enough business to go around, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm the carrier. The best way to think about me is I'm the carrier. That's who I am.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're sitting there like, shush, Eddie's talking. He's the only guy who can out-talk me, Alan. Get him going, forget it. I can't tell you how proud I am or happy I am for you. Nobody deserves it like you, where you've come from in this industry.
I appreciate that.
And how many people you've helped. Like, we've had our ups and downs, and but I mean, it's amazing. Another thing I want to talk about, it's amazing how much talent came out of Tintech. I mean, think about the talent. You got the GTC guys, you got Scott Warner, you got Marco, and you got David Copsey. I was talking to James Lappick from Twilio, the $850 million man who sold ZipWhip to them. And he said,
Hmm.
look, this guy Copsey's just crushing it. He
Hmm.
literally said to me, he's changed the whole way they look at international now. So,
Wow,
I'm looking
that's
at that
great.
and saying, now Twilio actually understood international. I've been trying to tell Twilio to buy Tintech for a long time, but instead they got hijacked by Cineverse, our friends.
No comments. No
Yeah, I
comments on
know.
that.
Hey, listen,
But
you don't have to make a
on the
comment,
TinTech,
but I can.
but on the TinTech stuff, I think there was a statement made years ago when I went over there years ago. TinTech trained everybody in the industry. That
Yeah,
it was like
Tech University.
these
I
guys,
call it Tech University.
these guys would and gals would go work for TinTech, be really, really talented, really, really sharp, and then like be the A players, like be the A and
Well,
B
there'd be
level
no
players,
Mito
and then they would move on, and
If
then they would,
Mito couldn't steal all Tintech's people. There'd be no
yeah,
Mito.
then
Andrea came from
yeah,
Voice.
then they would, yeah,
There'd be
then they
no
would,
Mito.
yeah, exactly. Then they would
Clara,
move on to
Clara
another
had
company.
Henderson and Keith. They knew
Mhm.
what they were doing, but so everybody left Tintech, which is really a shame because Tintech should have been the multi-billion-dollar company. But
Yeah,
you
no, no,
know,
no. It just it's
it's a
just a
university. It's a
it's a
university. It's going to
well,
be a
no, it's a
shrine. We're going to have
B
a shrine.
school. It's a B school use case of how to make sure you maintain your A players, right? That's hindsight's 2020. We could sit back here and we can all say, oh, they should have done X, Y, and Z, right? It is what it is. But yes, some very, very
Some of the most
incredibly
talented
smart
people in the
people,
industry. Yeah.
yeah, came out of there. Yeah, yeah. No, you
So
can't knock
how
them.
do you see the different players now that you're going to come out with this? People are going to know. I
Mhm.
guess the other companies are going to know now that you're going with Twilio. Obviously, you're not
Oh, no, no,
exclusive.
no,
So
no. They're
basically,
one partner. They're one.
Yeah.
No, no. They're one.
there's just
It's a
one partner.
great relationship and a great. It's only
How? But
one of
how does
many.
this? How does this? So I know you haven't been paying attention because you're working really hard. But I posted about it yesterday. An activist investor came in. Actually, um, a secondary analyst got in there and tossed out Jeff Lawson. The stock went from 50 to 150.
Yeah, I.
Literally made hundreds of millions of dollars. Now they
Mm-hmm.
gave Kozima. Now Kozima's got David Copsey. He's got some
Mm-hmm.
hitters in there. So from
Mm-hmm.
looking at it, because I call the markets, as you know, I like playing the markets and I look at all
Mm-hmm.
those things. So how do you help enable them grow? Do you give them now an edge? Because I don't know all this stuff. Do you give them an
No, no,
edge?
no, no. I think what we do for them and everybody else in the industry is by accelerating adoption of network APIs, like we don't, like I said earlier, we don't
But
have a
aren't the
demand
operators
problem.
looking to take business from them?
No, no, no. We don't have a demand problem. We have a supply problem. There are over 1,000 mobile network operators, and only 33 have launched. So let's get those other 900 launched. That will grow the Twilio business, the Infobit business, the Cinch business, the Equifax business, the Prove business, the Secure business. Everybody who uses network APIs to authenticate a subscriber, and as more APIs are exposed, be able to do KYCs
So
and
so
et
it's so
cetera.
it's really around the security. Because we had a podcast recently that there really is no KYC.
Their
The kids from
Authy
Telnex
business
got
is
hit.
gigantic. Their Authy business is gigantic. I mean, there's a reason why they bought Buku, right? There is a reason why they have Authy. Authy is I don't have the numbers, but it's a big business. It is the biggest. And Authy for them, and others, right? For them and others, is they need more supply. They need more supply because they have the brands, right? Or these big international brands, maybe not so much local, and they may have. I don't know their business, but they may have the local brands, but these big international brands that want to get to these carriers to do network authentication. And if we can help enable that and accelerate the business for them and the industry as a whole, that's a win-win all the way around, right? So,
Look, Alan,
we're very excited.
I think this is brilliant. I think I think we got to figure a way to attach that presentation
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
because it blew me away. Is there a way we can attach that presentation to this?
Yeah, we'll
I
insert
mean,
it in.
obviously we can continue, but I want to put something out there for, like I said, our community, our market is different than where people aren't watching the stuff where you're at, Eddie. We need to get you out there.
Hmm.
Obviously, the Twilio news is huge. I'm sure you're gonna bang that out with a press release soon, or
Hmm.
they
That's the
will.
plan.
That's
That's the
that's
plan.
so. I
That's
want
the
you to think
plan.
about the story, everybody out there. He goes to Mobile World Congress, launches his company on a podcast or whatever, and a year later signs Twilio, raises money, signs Twilio. That's why I call him
Hmm.
Fast Eddie, because that's the fastest
It's
from
not. I
conception
listen.
to go ever, Eddie. One
I
year,
hadn't, but
one
it's
year.
not. But it's not just. It's our mobile net. It's our mobile network operator partners. It's Clear Sky. I got to give a shout out to them. They believed in
No, but
us.
it's the
It's the
team. It's the
CCA.
team that listen, teams win.
It's the
You built
team.
the team that
Yeah.
knew you. They all knew
Uh.
you. And if you didn't spend 30 years in the
It.
industry and everybody didn't love you, you wouldn't have been
Yeah.
able to build that team. So you were able to
Yeah.
build a team before you even raised money. And then a year later sign Twilio. I think it's got to be the feel good story of the year.
I know you keep going back that way. It was a very, very. It was a
No, from my
very.
standpoint, and you know what
Yeah.
I do, I restructured Irish. I wiped out 30 million
I
in debt,
gotta,
all kinds of
but
for me, it's impressive.
I'll say one thing. I'll say one thing about this deal, and then without, because I don't want to, this is kind of not. It's been talked about, but whatever. I gotta say, they were probably the easiest company to work with. They saw the vision. They had incredible legal people, incredible people on it. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. It
Well,
was
no,
pretty
look, they have
amazing
the
on
best.
how
Let
well.
me tell you. Let me tell you why Twilio has the best talent in the history of the industry, and anywhere you go. You know why? Because they set up their stock incentives. There's Twilions. I
I
talked to a
don't
guy
know
last
about
week. They make millions of dollars.
that.
They get the best talent. I know guys that are working there that have made millions of dollars in stock options. You could just go into the chat rooms because you got investors been complaining. But one thing they did is they've made tons of millionaires. So when you
Yeah.
have the money, you get the talent. The talent is not everywhere else. The
Yeah,
talent
I
is
just
at
it
Twilio.
was I was just making a compliment of how easy they made
Yeah,
it.
because they have the
You
talented
know,
people there. They paved the
you know,
way.
I like to think that they saw the vision of what we're doing and how we're non-competitive, like some other potential suppliers out there. That we're all about enabling the industry to get accelerate the usage and movement to network APIs. That's
Now,
how
let me ask you
I
another
want to just
question.
believe
So,
And
that.
they had the experience because, with the Boku SNA product, they had to
Hmm.
deal with carriers. So if we can get something
Hmm.
that puts us a step away, then that accelerates the whole process.
And maybe that's what it is. But I have nothing. It was just, but it's not just them. It's everybody. Again, I go back to the
Yeah.
Clear Sky guys, to the guys
Yeah.
at CCA, the Competitive Carrier Association, who
Yeah.
saw the need for this, right, and
Yeah.
partnered with us and with CCA to be the hub, right. So we
Gotcha.
have a lot of positive traction. The GSMA, all the great things that Henry Calvert at the GSMA and the rest of the team in the Open Gateway initiative, the support that we have received there.
they're
You
class.
know,
They're nice people. I was telling Alan
no, they're
when
no,
I
but
went to Mobile
they're
World Congress.
truly,
Yeah,
yeah, truly a
I,
class act,
I
right?
went to I went to the Vegas show because I'm not flying to Europe. You know, I'm
Mhm.
not going there. I got like warrants for my arrest in Europe, so I don't go to Europe. But I went out there and I spent 4 days in a booth with these people, and they couldn't have been nicer or
Mhm.
sharper.
Yeah,
What class people at GSMA? What
yeah.
class? I mean,
And I gotta say, they're trying to get their arms around everything too, right? They're really trying to drive the right, specifications and all that. And I mean, I have my issues with what they did during RCS, but you know what? They're actually doing this one right, or at least trying to. Again, they were extremely supportive of us at Mobile World Congress this year. They gave us a lot of coverage. They gave us access to the Open Connectivity Pavilion, Open Gateway, I'm sorry, Open Gateway Pavilion. We were presenting there. We had, just tremendous level of support from the GSMA that I can't thank the team over there enough for everything from Henry Calvert, Alex Sinclair, the entire GSMA board, as well as the Open Gateway uh, um, team. That the whole team is from Mark. I know I'm leaving people's names out. Mark, Raman, and all those great. They have just been super supportive and great cheerleaders and great partners. So just a lot of good stuff going on. A lot of good
Listen,
stuff.
this is a feel-good story. We're heading towards the end
Hmm.
because we like to keep it within a certain amount of time. And
Yeah.
Alan, I want to be able to tie in just what I think is the best presentation over. So, Eddie,
Hmm.
now that you're here, you're back, going to get you on a Truth in Telecoms. Because at the end of the
Hmm.
day, you got to build a big CEO brand now, Eddie. Look at the guy from Palantir.
No, you know what I got to build? I got to
Palantir.
build a successful company. This is my number one concern. I got to build a successful company so all my employees, and there's more than one, all my employees can eat and feed their families. That's my concern.
And
And I
that's
got to
always
build a
been your
company,
concern. That's always been your
and I got to
concern in
build,
any company you worked out anywhere. I remember when Irish was a disaster and you were like,
and
just, you were more
every,
nervous
and
about the other employees that lost their jobs than yourself. And that's what people
yeah,
need
because
to,
I'll find a
but that's
job.
why, but that's why you have all the friends and that's why everybody loves you. And that's why people are even
Um,
watching your thing on meth and nobody
yeah.
watches meth stuff.
I'm worried. Thanks, thank you. Like I said, I'm not worried about building my brand. I'm worried about building my company. I'm worried about servicing my customers. And I'm worried about delivering for my partners, and I'm most worried about delivering for my employees. That's it.
Well, we're here.
Not
We're
my
here for
brand.
you. I gotta have to get a Twilio shirt now. And start rooting for them because I'm not going to root against
Oh,
Eddie.
how do you find these things out? How do you find these things out?
I'm gonna tell you how. I'm gonna tell you how. Go look at the subscribers we have. We have 19,200 subscribers. People, I got to smack people from giving me information. Or Alan. And Alan, look, Alan Quayle. Let's talk about who he is. He ran Tad Hack for years.
I
The
know,
only reason
Alan.
I found Alan is because he's the only one that Thorsten would respect. So he wrote that piece on Thorsten. As you know, I was hunting down Thorsten, and I said, "Let
I
me
don't
go
know if he
find this Alan
remembers.
guy."
I don't know if Alan remembers. He wrote a piece on me.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was knocking on your
Mhm.
door, when you were
Mhm.
at Tintech. You were trying to get you to sponsor
Mhm.
TADHack.
Yep.
No. Take don't spend money. Um,
They have in the past.
no, only on patents. So we can wallpaper his wall and then die and have a
Oh,
shrine.
okay.
I'll have a
All
shrine of
right.
patents.
All
But
right.
anyhow,
I'm not going
we'll
down
go.
this path.
Uh,
Listen, let's have some fun. It's all fun. We're all here for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. All good. This was my podcast of the year. And how about Robert Viz, Bird, because he's our favorite. The Viz.
Mm.
Have you talked to
Robert's a
Bird
good
yet?
guy. Robert's good. I haven't talked to him in a while. I haven't talked to him in a
Well, he's come on
long,
our
long time.
podcast 3 times because nobody else has the
He's a
VALS.
super nice guy. I have not. Yeah, he's a
Well,
super nice
I
guy.
think he's going to be the next $100 billion
And
company.
and,
His
and
numbers are sick.
I actually think he's probably one of the best sales guys out there because I know there's a very very funny story that we had not. It's not even a mutual friend, but I knew somebody who knew him, and said Robert can sell ice to a penguin. Right? I think it was
Think
like
about what he
wow.
did. Think about what he did. He raised $1 billion on a $3.8 billion valuation or $4.8 billion valuation, then restructured the whole company, told his investors, nah, this is what I'm doing. Then cut his revenue
Mm.
from 700-800 million a year to 200 million a year, increased the gross
I
margin
also,
to
yeah,
80%. And he pulled
yeah.
that off. So honestly,
And
I'm a huge fan.
I also respect him. I also respect him a lot for when he had that massive layoff, right? That big layoff within the company, pulled out of the US.
He's
There
going
was
to
a
have
whole
all
bunch of things
robots. There
that
are all going to be
happened.
bird robots running
No, no,
around. No more
no, no,
people.
no. But what I thought was so respectful was he literally said, "It's all on me. This is all my fault. I made mistakes, and for that I am sorry." And for a CEO to
Nobody
take
does
it
that.
and not blame
Nobody does
anybody
that.
else,
Nobody
didn't
does that.
blame anybody else, didn't blame bad advice from management, didn't blame this. He goes, there is nobody to blame but me. That is a class act, and I'll always have my respect for that. Always,
You know,
always. Yeah, he's
I'm
a
the
good guy.
rep. I'm the bird rep for Doge, right? I'm going to get him into Doge after they fire
Okay.
Rick. Get bird robots. We got bird robots
Yeah.
coming.
Oh
But
dear.
anyhow, Eddie, I
No,
can't thank you enough. You're going to
you're very
come back,
welcome.
Alan. I don't think there's nothing to cut here. Nothing political. Nothing.
No.
Is anything you want to say, Alan?
Well,
And Eddie, can you tell Alan to get a haircut, please?
Alan, get a
thank
haircut.
you. Yeah, well, thank you, Eddie, for a great podcast.
You're welcome.